So this week what we're going to talk about is reading labels, just like it said. And what this is all about, it's about acquiring a skill. So back when we were cavemen and cavewomen, the skill that we needed to eat was to hunt, right? Because then you could go out and bag the buffalo, and then everyone in your tribe or whatever could eat. So now the skill that we need so that we can eat healthy food, eat properly, is to be able to read labels. So that way you know the product that you choose in the supermarket is the right product for you. This will allow you to go past what we tell you here and Don't Wait to Lose and to make your own choices in the supermarket. So let's start off. And we're going to start off with a little quiz. So I got two fats here, and I want you guys to tell me which one's better. I'll give you about 10 seconds to read the label real quick. And hold up. So how many people for fat A? Raise your hand. Just one? Two. Two people for fat A. 3, 4, 5. How many people for fat B? All right, you guys are doing okay. So let's go ahead and take a look. So on this label, what we're looking at, since it is primarily a fat, is the fat profile. Now the first thing I want you to do when you look at any nutrition label is the serving size. And if the serving size is more than you're going to be consuming in that product, you're going to have to multiply all the numbers below it by how many servings you're going to be eating. So this lists 1 teaspoon. If you were going to eat 2 teaspoons of that fat, every number below it is doubled. So while it says 11 grams of fat, it's going to be 22 grams of fat, and so after you look at that, you want to look at the other product that you're comparing it to. So if you're looking at 2 products side by side, a lot of times they'll list different serving sizes. And what that will do is kind of confuse you when you're trying to compare 2 different products, because if one has a smaller serving size, then it's going to have, for example, less fat. And you're going to go, oh, this is healthier, when in reality it might not be. So you have to account for the serving size difference that there will be in different labels. So the next thing you want to look at is saturated fat. And this is a big red flag, and I think a lot of you guys already picked up on that, and that's great. So saturated fat is the bad fat. That's what raises your bad cholesterol and lowers good cholesterol. Interestingly enough, the highest correlation with blood cholesterol levels is actually the amount of saturated fat in your diet, not the amount of cholesterol in your diet, which is contrary to what was thought before. So that's why saturated fat is really important. There's still a small emphasis on the amount of cholesterol that you take in, but the association between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol isn't real clear. It's kind of fuzzy. So that's why previous recommendations about eggs, not to eat too many eggs because it has a lot of cholesterol in, they don't really hold anymore, because again, that link between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol is not very strong. So, a food like egg has a lot of great animal protein in it, and yes, it has a lot of cholesterol, but we're not as concerned about that anymore. So if you like to eat eggs every day, go ahead and do that. So another thing that stands out here, especially in comparison to the other label, is the sodium. The other fat, as we'll see, doesn't have any sodium in it. And sodium is a big thing in the American diet. We eat way too much salt. Dr. Harlan's going to go way more into detail with it, so I'm not going to go into it here. But safe to say, sodium it has a high correlation with your blood pressure. So the more salt you eat, the higher your blood pressure is going to be. So it's important to look at sodium in any of the label of any product that you're trying to buy at the supermarket. Okay, so let's look at fat B. And a lot of you picked up on that this was the better fat. As we look at the fat profile again, the total fat, as compared to 11 grams on the one before it, is 14 grams. So there's actually more fat. However, most of that fat is unsaturated fats. And unsaturated fats are your good fats. Monounsaturated fats are actually the best fats, the best type of fats. Omega-3 fatty acids are a type of monounsaturated fat that is the absolute best fat. And that's something that's in flaxseed and fish products, like tuna, mackerel, sardines, certain types of fish. And so we're looking at cholesterol, and I said the link wasn't real clear, but still it's fuzzy. So if there's a product that has less cholesterol and combined with everything else, that's another plus. So this also has no cholesterol. And then again, no sodium. So that's what makes this the better fat, is the fat profile, the breakdown, the type of fat. Rather than thinking about how much fat is in your diet, I want you to think about the type of fat you're taking in. So here's revealing what the two products were. Fat A was salted butter, and fat B was olive oil. And if you don't have olive oil in your home right now, I want you to go out and buy olive oil and start using it and start cooking with it, because it adds great flavor to your dishes, and it's the good fat. So you can use it and still have flavor, and you're taking the right kind of fat. So again, I'll emphasize this, but too much saturated fat, too much cholesterol, and also high in sodium. So that's what made this the wrong choice over this one. So what did we learn? And I already touched on this a lot. But again, it's the type of fat that's more important than the amount of fat. Unsaturated fat is better than saturated fat, and the worst type of fat is trans fat. Interestingly enough, trans fat is a type of unsaturated fat, but it's always listed as trans fat. And if anyone wants to talk to me more about how trans fat is made, I'd be happy to, but it's a synthetically made fat that's used by hydrogenating plant oils so that they don't go rancid. And it's just terrible for you. It's associated with seriously about every chronic disease. I did a whole bunch of journal article searches, and you name a disease, high trans fat consumption is associated with it. So try to stay away from it. And actually, a lot of major cities are going to banning trans fats in restaurants. It might not surprise you to say that New Orleans isn't really on the forefront of that, but maybe that's coming. And a lot of products on the counter have removed trans fat. So you don't maybe have to worry about that as much as you did 5 years ago, but trans fat is a huge red flag. Look out for that on the label. So other fats, foods that will have similar fat profiles are canola oil, peanut oil, safflower oil, nuts, avocados, fish, and fish products. So again, if your fat profile looks like this, that's a good product to choose. All right, so now we're going again, and we got 2 more products that I want you to evaluate. And this is a breakfast. You're starting off your day. So which breakfast is better? Give you 5 seconds to look at it. Who's for breakfast number 1? Okay. Who's for breakfast number 2? Not too many people were too confident on either of them, so that's good. We'll go over this. All right, so now let's look at it. And if anyone has any questions, please stop me, because like I said, the whole point of this is to be interactive. So, breakfast number 1, and unfortunately this got cut off here, but what we're looking at between these two, these are both great sources of carbohydrates. These are primarily carbohydrates. If you look on the label, the largest value is under carbohydrates. So you're going to zero in on the carbohydrate profile for these 2 breakfasts. So on the one on the left, the total carbohydrates is 27 grams in comparison to 22 grams over here. You'll also notice that the serving size is a little bit different. It's not a whole lot different. And if you wanted to do some complex multiplication, you could convert them, but you can kind of just guess and do a little bit of fuzzy math in your head. But as you can see here, there's 4 times more fiber per serving than this one. This one only has about 1 gram of fiber, despite the fact that it's actually a larger serving size. Another thing on the carbohydrate profile, you look here, you got 27 grams, and then you look below, and only 1 of those grams is sugar. So that's a good thing, because you know sugar is bad for you, right? And if you look at this one, you got 22 grams